Okay, I enjoyed this book immensely. I can't say that enough. The name of the book is called The Rancher's Summer Secret. It's the Montana Maverick series. Imagine that. The author is Christine Rimmer. She's a New York Times best-selling author. And it says, When You're Not Allowed to Kiss and Tell. This came out July 2021. And let me read the back of it to you. I'll read the highlighted points and then I'll give you the rating of this book. Your secret is safe with me. Science teacher Vanessa Cruz is spending her summer working in Bronco, rekindling her short-term fling with the hottest rancher in town. Not on her to-do list, especially since commitment is her number one don't. But Jameson John promises to keep their relationship hidden from the town gossips, then finds himself longing for more than just a summer fling. Convincing Vanessa he's worth the risk might be the hardest thing he's ever had to do. Montana Mavericks, the real cowboys of Bronco Heights. This series makes you believe in love, overcoming obstacles, and finding true happiness. Okay, it says, Welcome to Montana Mavericks, the big sky country, home of Montana Mavericks, where the free-spirited men and women discover love on the range. The real cowboys of Bronco Heights. The young people of Bronco are so busy with their careers and their ranches that they have all pushed the thoughts of love to the back burner. Elderly Winona Cobbs knows full well what it's like to live a life that is only half full, and she's determined to help them see the error of their ways. Oh, so handsome cowboy Jameson John knows that he's considered a catch, quote-unquote, but he's never wanted to be caught until now. His one-night stand with Vanessa Cruz over the winter was meant to be no strings attached. Now, however, he's mesmerized by the brainy beauty, Van, and she does not want to be changing the rules. Dear reader, welcome back to Bronco, Montana. It's summertime here, and in Big Sky Country, we do the 4th of July upright. It's called Red, White, and Bronco, and it's a 4-day festival celebrating Independence Day. Born and raised in Bronco, high school science teacher Vanessa Cruz left town broken-hearted 9 years ago. She returned now and then to visit her family, but she's vowed never to make Bronco her home. Yes, it's true that this year she's here for the whole summer, teaching summer camp science to tweens and early teens. But come fall, she's returning to Billings and the good life that she's made for herself there. Rancher Jameson John is a Bronco man through and through. No way would he ever live anywhere else. In his younger years, Jameson was something of a player, and Van has a weakness for players. Somehow, they always seem to end up breaking her heart. Well, not this time. Van promises herself that she's fully attracted to Jameson. She's powerfully attracted to Jameson, but no way will she allow herself to fall in love with him. Jameson, however, is determined to convince the disaffected hometown girl to give love one more chance with him. And on the 2nd of July at the Miss Bronco Beauty Pageant, something totally unexpected is about to happen. Something that will give Jameson the romantic opportunity he's been waiting for. It's a great year for love here in Bronco. I hope Jameson and Vanessa's story tugs at your heartstrings and reminds you that love is stronger than all of our fears and doubts. Happy reading, everyone. Christine Rimmer, the author of The Rancher's Summer Secret. Christine Rimmer came to the profession a long way around. She tried everything from acting to teaching to telephone sales. Now she's finally found work that suits her perfectly. She insists that she never had a problem keeping a job. She was merely, quote, gaining life experience, end quote, for her future as a novelist. Christine lives with her family in Oregon. Visit her at christinerimmer.com. The first page that I thought was really great and outstanding here would be on page 137. Now that he had Vanessa in his arms, Jameson knew that he made the right decision. He lay half awake half the night last night, staring at the shadows lurking up near the vaulted ceiling, trying to tell himself that he was right and she was wrong, and that he had enough of trying to get through to her. But then, a few hours before dawn, he finally faced the truth. He wanted to get close to her, and that skittish woman like Vanessa, a man only had a chance of getting close to if he agreed to on her terms. The irony of the situation did not escape him. He spent a lot of years having nothing but real good time when it came to the fair sex. When a woman got too clingy or started talking marriage and babies, he couldn't get the heck out of there fast enough. And then when he finally grew up and started hungering for a family with the right woman, he met Maybelle. They married, and from her he learned a painful lesson that, in immortal words of John Party, it ain't always the cowboy that rides away. Would Vanessa have him humming the same tune in the end? It sure did look that way, but a man could never win if he refused to play the game. So for now, forget the future. He had Vanessa in his arms, and the way she looked up at him, and those dark eyes were soft and hopeful, promised a great night ahead, and just maybe, if he played his cards right, more nights to come. Whatever happened, at least he had a good time while she remained in town. It wasn't near enough for him, but to have a prayer of more, he needed to stay in the damn game and keep a check on himself. She made it painfully clear that she had no interest in getting more serious. He needed to remember that, needed not to get too attached, and could say that maybe they would grow closer. Close enough that she would learn to trust him, close enough that she would be willing to change her rules. Right now, though, he needed not to push her when she refused to budge. Moving forward. Okay, page 163 to 164. Charity showed her the hand. Excuse me, Miss Bronco, I was not finished speaking. You're right, sorry, please continue. Thank you, I will. I just want you to know that Jameson is someone that you can count on, someone you can trust. Van almost scoffed at that one, but she thought twice. True, Van used to have a certain idea of him, an idea based on what she heard of him years ago. Back then, they all said that he liked a good time, but he didn't get serious with any girl. Really, though, those had only been rumors. She hadn't known him then. He'd been there 3 or 4 years ahead of her in school, a popular, good-looking older boy from a well-to-do family, someone all the girls her age had a crush on. She needed to stop judging him by what she heard about him growing up. If everyone judged Van by old rumors, they would probably view her the way Mara seemed to, and as someone trashy and dangerous, someone who wouldn't hesitate to try and steal her man. Vanessa, said Charity sternly, stop scrunching your forehead. You'll get wrinkles. Van laughed. A few wrinkles never hurt anyone. Maybe not, but as a rule, Miss Bronco is never wrinkled. Her wardrobe and her skin are always pristine. It's a whole new Miss Bronco nowadays, and don't you forget it. She could be anyone's a regular girl, even someone's single grandma. Of course she could be anyone, but this year she's you. And a smooth brow is prettier. Given a choice, she might as well be pretty. Charity closed up her makeup kit from the hook on the back of the bathroom door. She took the gorgeous spangled hat she bought from home. Here, now hold your hat and let me fix your hair. Vanessa sat straight, cradling the hat on her knees, keeping this still as Charity fused her hair. An okay hat, please. Vanessa handed it over and Charity set it on her head. There. Charity studied the final effect. Perfect. My work is here done. You're ready to wow them. Vanessa spun on her stool and grinned at herself in the mirror. Bronco's favorite pet contest is here, and here I come. Okay, page 206 is a short one. So it was more than apparent that both of us by then that marriage was over, that it was pretty much doomed right off the gate. She lied to me. Looking back, I get why she wasn't the real big, open, honest communication. She spent her whole life fighting to make her own way, and frankly, she had no communication skill whatsoever. Frankly, I was no better. I was a bad husband to her. A guy who never made the effort to find out what was going on with her until it was way too late, and I gave her divorce. We agreed on that one-time settlement. I paid her off, and that was that. So we know a little bit about why they got divorced. Page 212. To give her trust again, take a chance on love again. No. The risk still felt greater than the possible reward. To give in, to let herself fall and believe that he would be there to catch her, it was asking too much of her battered heart. As the second week of July became the third, and she spent every moment she could steal at Jameson's side, Van somehow managed to cling to their original agreement that it was only for the summer, and at the end of August she would walk away. So what was that pull between them that only seemed to get stronger? So what was that she loved being with him in bed and out? So what was that sometimes she could almost picture a life with him right here in Bronco, close to her family? She had her life all worked out, and their love would not mess with it. Not this time. She'd been hurt once too often, and no way was she going to head for heartbreak once again. Okay. Page 242. I can't. She caught herself. I mean, I won't. I won't go there again. I won't take that chance again. I just need to face reality here. It never goes well. It is always a disaster. I'm a disaster, romantically speaking. Her wonderful face was a portrait in pain. His growing exasperation melted away. He wanted to comfort her, but he knew she wouldn't allow him to come one step closer than where he was standing now, 10 feet from her at the long end of a gray sofa. Again he tried to get her to reason it out. It's what life is, Vanessa. You fail and you fail, and every time you fail, you have to pick yourself up and try again. You can't give up or you'll never succeed. It's not just the same for you. You failed once. I just keep doing it over and over. It always has a bad ending for me, and I have learned to protect myself at least a little. That's the way I see it. If we walk away now, at least we have a great memory of how good it was for that little while. He hardly knew where to go with that. But why walk away when you're just getting started? Why walk away when we could have so much more? I've got no intentions of messing this up. I want to be with you. I'm open to you. I want all of this with you. I want to take this next thing between us wherever it goes. I love... Stop. Right there. Her face was paled and her freckles were standing out and sharp. How could he get through to her if she refused to hear the words? You're not even going to let me say it. No, I'm not. There's no point in saying it. It won't change anything. You know where it goes. We've been through this. In August, I go back to Billings and we both get on with our lives. Just please give it a chance between us, Vanessa. Damn. He descended to begging. This was really bad. Really bad. Still, he had to give one more shot. Just say yes to dinner at DJ's. That's all I'm asking. One step at a time. She made a strangled sound, a sound full of pain. Behind her black framed glasses, her eyes gleamed in moisture. A tear got away from her and dribbled down the curve of her cheek. Angrily, she swiped at it. I can't. I'm sorry. No. No. And where did that leave him? Screwed, that's where. So I guess that makes me collateral damage once again, huh? You said it, and I agreed with you. This really isn't about me. This is on you, Vanessa. And I'm tired. I'm done. I don't want to give you up on you, but what else can I do? A man needs to know when to call it quits. Yes, her voice was so small, so lonely. You're right. It's not going to work, and it's good that you can see that. They stared at each other, and there was nothing more to say. He walked away from her to the kitchen area, the wide window with a view of the mountains, their craggy peaks reaching on to the sky. Just go, he said over his shoulder. Goodbye, Jameson, and the words came out ragged, but the way too damn determined. He heard her footsteps retreating, the front door open and click shut. He refused to turn from the window until he knew she was gone. His soul ached at the sound of her car starting up, at the engine revving as she shifted and backed out. Finally, she must have put it in drive. He heard the faint sounds of tires crunching the gravel. He stared at the faraway mountains as the sound of the engine faded away. Behind him, Slim whined to Jameson. That whine was forlorn and bewildered. Said it all. He turned and he met Slim's worried eyes. It's okay, boy, he lied. It's not in any way okay, but we did what we could. Slim followed him over to the long gray sofa. The dog sat and stared up at him through sad, soulful eyes. Dropping to the cushions, Jameson put his head in his hands. With another mournful whine, Slim rested his head on Jameson's knee. Okay, back at was that where I started here? So she goes back to her apartment to meet her roommate, Callie. Callie met her at the door. One look at her friend's determined expression, and Van longed to spin on her heel and get out of there. This way, said Callie. She took Van by the arm, led her to the sofa in the living room, and gently pushed her down. I realize I didn't come on strong enough with you and about Jameson's situation. Wait, what? Strong enough? Where was the shy, unassuming Callie when Van needed her? Ordinarily, Van loved her friend that always told her the truth. Right now, though, no thanks. Callie, I told you, there is no Jameson situation. Callie braced her hands on her hips. Denial is not a good look on you. I really don't want to talk about this. Great, you don't have to talk. Just sit there and listen. Let me say what I have to say, and then we can leave it alone. With a heavy-hearted sigh, Van slumped into the couch cushions. Get it over with, then. Thank you. Callie dropped down next to Van and shifted her face. I just want you to think about how Jameson treats you, how much he wants to be with you. I want you to think about how I want you to think that if you would just push your fears aside and look at what he does and how he communicates, all the way he treats you thoughtfully, with a real care, you would see that he's not like all those men who hurt you. Callie, those guys were all good to me too, at first. As good as Jameson? Van hated that question. It had her thinking of all the ways Jameson treated her right, cooking meals for both of them, rearranging his schedule to be with her, planning weekends to get away, a secluded cabin with all the amenities to a luxury hotel, the getaways that followed the rules of no contact with anyone else in Bronco. Okay, she muttered darkly, that a real man that's the man's a real prize so far, but that doesn't mean that he would always stay that way if I hung around. What it means is that you would need to give the guy a chance. You know how many times you said I should give Jameson a chance? Callie scoffed. Not enough times, apparently, because you're still not hearing me. Oh, I do hear you loud and clear. I hear you, and I simply refuse to go there. I will not give my heart again, and I'm not going to end up getting it back again in pieces. Callie seemed to be running out of steam. She gave it one more valiant push. Truly, Van, you know that you have to keep trying. Not all men are like your dad and those other four losers whose names I won't even mention ever again. You'll never get what matters if you keep this up now. Then I'll never get what matters. Callie let out a dejected little moan. You are just making me so sad. Van took both of her hands. You are the best friend ever, and I love that you're trying so hard to convince me what you think to do is right. It's just, well, not right for me, and I have to do what works for me. Callie hung her head. Van pulled her close in a hug. Thank you, I mean that. She took her friend by the shoulders and held her away enough to capture the gaze. Now, can we stop talking about this, please? All right, Callie said with a weak, weary nod. I've said what I needed to say, and you're still dug in. I give up. Have it your way. Oh, it's getting good. I wonder what's going to happen next, right? See why I love this book? Sometimes it takes an outside force to push these two together. Listen up next. Page 259. At the bottom of the stack, he found a flyer for Winona Cobb's new psychic enterprise, printed on the deep purple cardstock with a bright yellow lettering, and the flyer announced that Winona would be consulted at her new shop, Wisdom by Winona, located on the premises of Bronco Ghost Tours. Life, love, happiness, the flyer proclaimed in giant shouty yellow caps. The flyer announced that the consultation, and the excellent advice could all be attained in a visit with Winona. Jameson stared at the flyer for a good 5 minutes, and for half that time he was shaking his head. He admired Winona, but that didn't mean he would ever waste good money on a visit to a fortune teller. He tossed the flyer on top of the junk mail stack, and then snatched it right up again. Sticking it in his back pocket, he scooped up the keys from where he had thrown them on the table and headed for the door. At Bronco Ghost Tours, he found Winona had her own separate building. The discovery brought relief that he wouldn't have to go near the office or the gift shop, where he might run into Vanessa's roommate or even her brother, Evan. It was something of a shed, really. Winona shop was a very charming wooden shed, painted turquoise. The rough plank siding had been decorated with stars, crescent moons. Wisdom by Winona announced the sign above the heavy purple door. To either side of that door, thick and curtains covered the old-fashioned double-hung windows. He couldn't see anything inside. Jameson stood on the steps for a few minutes, growling more and then growing more and more unsure that he had any right to be here. Really seeking out Vanessa's great-grandmother could end up just being as awkward as meeting as Callie or even Evan. In fact, the more he considered going through that purple door, the more certain he became showing up here was a bad idea. Better just to get out. He turned for his quad cab and heard the door open behind him. Jameson John, said a husky voice with only the slightest quiver of age. Slowly he turned back to face her. Winona, hello. Wizened and bright-eyed as ever, Winona wore an outfit worthy of his ex-wife, the rodeo queen, including purple jeans boots to match, a jewel-bedecked purple shirt, and on her head she wore a purple turban accented with an enormous gold brooch in the shape of a crescent moon. About time you came to see me. With a gleeful little laugh, Winona reached out her skinny, wrinkled hand and grabbed his arm. Don't dally on the step, young man. Come in, come in. We need to get this moving on. This what? He would have asked if only his throat had not suddenly locked up tight. A moment later he found himself on the other side of the door. Winona gave that door a push. It swung shut, and semi-darkness descended. The only light that came up from the dim bulb was in the ancient-looking lamps. Jameson breathed in a heavy scent of incense. It burned in the several brass containers set on small tables next to faded wing chairs. Apparently this was some kind of waiting room, that a very purple waiting room, almost completely enclosed in purple velvet curtains. Anchored in the center of the ceiling, the curtains draped outward to the top to the walls. From there, except for where they parted above the door, they hung straight to the floor. Winona, he said, paused to clear his throat. This is very, atmospheric. The old woman glanced around with a grin. Designed it myself. The older I get, the more I love purple. Her grin flattened out. Unfortunately, Evan is insisting that I probably have to move indoors. He says we can't possibly keep this sweet little shed warm through the Montana winter. Before he could sympathize with her, she brightened right up again. All right, then, let's get started. Shall we? She lifted a hidden split in the curtain, revealing the other door that led to a second room. This way. Ushering him over the threshold, she followed him in, shutting the door behind them. He breathed a little easier. No incense burning in this room, and there was no draperies back here either. Just clean walls of pale, soothing robin's egg blue. Winona signaled for him to take one of the two chairs at a central table of the simple bleached pine. Sit, please. He sat, and Winona perched on her chair across from him. Feeling nervous as a sinner in church, he coughed into his hand, and suddenly he realized he hadn't taken off his hat. Swiping the thing from his head, he turned to hook it onto the back of the chair. When he faced Winona again, her piercing dark eyes watched him, seeming to see right into the center of him. Did she find him lacking somehow? I always enjoyed that column of yours. Thank you. She reached across the table and took his wrist. Now down to business. Turning his hand palms up, she cradled it in her bird-like claw. Bending her turban head close, she hummed low in her throat. Alarm jangled through him. What is it? What's wrong? She glanced up, sharp eyes pitting against his, and then her face softened and her voice changed, become gentle and soothing. Let's just sit quietly here, shall we? He longed to leap up and run out, but before he heard himself answer calmly, sure. As he said the word, his urge to run faded. A sort of peacefulness stole through him. They sat there, minutes ticked by, and he felt truly unconcerned, relaxed, certain now that something good would happen. He only needed to be patient to let the truth unfold at its own chosen pace. Gently, Winona touched the tips of his fingers one by one. She bent even closer, stared at an open palm. Again, she made a humming noise. It appears to me, Jameson, that you are the kind of man who likes to take charge. You don't care for ambiguity, and you do not like to wait. She glanced up, and their glances locked. Has there ever been a time when you didn't get what you wanted? He took a little while to consider her question. When I was younger, no. Things came easily to me back then. She chuckled. The small spare room seemed to fill with light. You led a charmed life. He glanced around, trying to figure out where the extra light had come from, and there was 3 windows of 3 of the walls, each of the white lace curtains drawn shut, letting muted light in that didn't seem to have gotten brighter, and the same 2 lamps on the side of the tables gave about the same amount of light as before. Still, the room did seem brighter, and Winona shook a finger at him. Pay attention, please, Jameson. He blinked at her, sat up straighter. Sorry, ma'am, answer my question. About my so-called charmed life? Winona beamed. Yes, that one. Well, yeah, looking back, I'd have to say that I've had it really good until I got married. It didn't work out. We divorced. She moved away. I felt disappointed in myself. You know that I never really felt like I understood her. And then once she was gone, I didn't even miss her at all. I started to wonder if there was ever something missing in me. If I would ever find someone to be my one, my only one. Winona held his gaze, and there was nothing missing in you, Jameson. Hope rose like a bubble in his chest. He swallowed it hard. There's not? Nope. She popped the pea, looking almost childlike at that moment. You're on the right path. Patience is required, though. You can't have what you want until the one you want is ready. Before she left, he realized he should have clarified. I mean the one that I want, not the ex-wife. Winona smiled, turned serene. I know what you mean. Did she? He really had no idea, but in this quiet, bright room, just Winona and him alone, well, it seemed like the right choice to take her at her word. I started to tell her how I really feel for her. I wanted to let her know that what's in my heart. Winona said nothing. She waited for him to finish. He did. Because I love her. But you didn't tell her. No, you changed your mind. He shook his head. She wouldn't let me say it, and I let her stop me. I shouldn't have let her do that. I should have said it anyway. Winona touched his curled up fingertips again. He relaxed them until they opened as before. Timing matters, she said. That might seem wrong. It might even seem unfair, but sometimes there's no point in saying your love out loud if the one you love can't hear you yet. I don't know about that. Winona lifted her narrow shoulder in a tiny shrug. Think on it. I will. He stared at the old woman's eyes, and the truth popped out. It's Vanessa. I'm in love with Vanessa. There, finally, he said it. And it felt damn good to say it. So he had said it. I love your great-granddaughter. Winona granted him an angel's smile. Yes, I know. Huh? That made no sense at all. I don't understand. Vanessa said she didn't want her family to know about us. I'm surprised she told you. She didn't. Vanessa never said a word, but I've spent many years watching and learning. Sometimes the secrets of the heart are open to me. I simply know things, secret things, the things we all try to hide about ourselves. That first time I met you at the barbecue on Independence Day, I knew that you were already falling in love with my great-granddaughter. And the moment I looked in your blue eyes today, Jameson, I knew that it had happened, that you are in love with Vanessa. He had no idea what to say to that. Maybe no words were necessary. After all, Winona clearly she had pegged him. She said, sometimes I know the deepest secrets in the people's hearts, the ones they haven't even shared with themselves. For instance, Vanessa. He leaned in, eager for that old woman to share. Yes, tell me what. Winona lowered her voice to a whisper. Vanessa's been hurt. Love has not been kind to her. I know that. She told me that. She told you because deep in her wounded heart she does trust you. And she's hiding the truth from herself. But that doesn't make it any less true. Whoa, slow down there a second. What truth are you talking about? Why, that she's in love with you too. Should that news have surprised him? It didn't. He believed that Vanessa loved him and that loving him scared the heck out of her, but what he needed to do next was get through to her, and that was the real question. And you must be patient, Winona said. Yeah, he replied gloomily. You mentioned that already. Patient and available, too. Oh, come on, Winona. How can I be available when she's already dumped me? Find your opportunity. She misses you. He couldn't get his hopes up, but Winona could be so damn convincing. His pulse quickened. He sat up straighter. You sure about that? Yes, she loves you and misses you. She absolutely does. So show up. Let her see exactly what she's missing. Winona, even if I could get her to agree to be with me again, it wouldn't be for real, you know? She doesn't want anyone in town to know about us, and I went along with that for a while. I did, but enough's enough. I just don't want to be a secret anymore. Of course you don't, and you shouldn't have to be. So how do I make her see that? Patience. Don't stay away just because she insists on her terms that you can't accept, but don't push either. She has to come to you in her own time. He let out a groan. You don't ask much, do you? Jameson, you have to lose in order to win. Winona, what does that even mean? For that, he got her the most beatific smile. All will become clear in time. Right now you need to show up. Your very presence will serve to remind her of all is at stake. Show up where? Are you saying I should stalk her? Of course not. There'll be open opportunities for you to be where she's at. Right, he said bleakly. Don't descend into cynicism, Winona warned gently. Love is on the line, Jameson. Above all, you mustn't give up the fight. And that's all I'm going to share with you. Did Jameson and Vanessa get together? Did Vanessa overcome her fears from all these exes doing her wrong? Did Jameson go, okay, you know what? I'm just going to be another peg in her bad men that's done her wrong. The only way to find out is read this amazing book that gets a 40 stars. That means it's a must-read. Congratulations to the author of Christine Rimmer. You have made my must-read list. Check it out. You won't regret it. Thank you for checking out this channel. Thank you for listening to the videos. God bless you. Stay safe. Stay well. Love y'all.